In my last area that I got to serve in, there was a couple weeks left, and we were working as hard as we could. We were doing everything right. I mean, well, we were doing the knocking, we were teaching as much as we possibly could. We were looking for everybody that we could find. And there wasn't a lot of progress. There wasn't a lot of success that I could see, that I could feel. And I was worried. I was stressed. I was sad. And I was just a whole bunch of emotions. Just, I didn't want to go home, and I wanted to stay, wanted to serve. But there was a time we went on an exchange with the sister training leaders, and on that exchange, we switched places, and I got back to the area, and they had found tons of people to teach. They had just found the most elect that we've ever heard of that were all ready to receive the gospel, and so we were so excited. There was one person, individual in particularly, who was truly golden. We would go to the church. We would meet every day. He had some concerns that he was worried about. He was wondering about perspective in his life, and he needed direction. And so when we taught him the plan of salvation, we went to the church and we read a chapter in the Book of Mormon, 2 Nephi chapter 2, and he could see the inspiration. He could see it in his eyes. He always talked about a bright countenance, that he could see it within the members. And that was a moment I really did see, I saw like a twinkle. And he perked up and he said, let me see if I can draw this. And so he gets up and he draws what he sees of the plan of salvation on the chalkboard. And we had not drawn it. We had not really talked about it. We were just talking about agency. And he draws it from the beginning to the very end. And it's a spider web of the plan of salvation. It was completely doctrinally sound. And my companion were like, oh, see ya. We didn't know what to do. This is awesome. And anyway, we'd continue meeting, and we felt so blessed to know him. And there was, I couldn't believe the miracles that were happening. There was young women that would come teach with us, and they were teaching lessons from the knowledge they had received their whole lives that I had never put together in a full sentence until I got the name tag. But through these lessons, we were able to, our friend, he was able to learn and believe and gain a testimony of Jesus Christ and of the gospel, that it's real. And then also members of the church that would come teach with us, they were able to gain experience by bearing testimony and actually, feeling the spirit that comes from helping in the Lord's work and the saving of souls. And so anyway, we're meeting this guy, and at the very end, it was my last night. And previously we had invited him to be baptized about 3 times. We're like, you know this is true. Will you be baptized? Will you follow Jesus Christ and be baptized? He said, I know myself. I'm scared. I have a lot of fear. I am not going to commit to anything because I know that I will just not keep my commitments. And he didn't want to toy with something so precious as the gospel. He just didn't really know that. And so anyway, the last night, we were invited to go say goodbye to our ward mission leader's house, at his house, to his family. And we had worked so much together, and it was time to say goodbye. And we were like, well, our friend needs to come. He needs to know you guys a little bit more. So we invited our friend to come, and a little layout of my last area is in Manette, Washington, and Bremerton. The Puget Sound is part of the ocean, and it's right there. You can see the ocean, and it is the most beautiful, beautiful sight. It is a big part of all of Washington. The whole mission, the Puget Sound, is a really big deal. It's a place of peace, and for us, it was really memorable for amazing experiences. And so, anyway, from our ward mission leader's house, you could see the Puget Sound just right across his yard, and it's beautiful. We go up to our ward mission leader's house, and we knock on the door. We're like, Ryan, you can't come inside if you're not a member. Sorry. And we're kind of just teasing. He's like, oh, okay, well. We're like, it's okay, look, the Puget Sound is right there. You can go get baptized right now. You're completely prepared. Everything's ready. We already made it happen. And he was like, oh, okay. And we're like, what, really? And so it happened. We went inside our ward mission leader's house, and we the district leader was there. He was in our ward. We were serving in the same ward, and he gave him an interview, and he was completely ready for baptism. And somehow, for some reason at that time, he was pricked in his heart that this is okay. It's okay to commit to being a disciple of Jesus Christ for the rest of forever. It's okay because it's true. And so that night, Ryan, our friend, he was baptized in the Puget Sound, and he was given the gift of the Holy Ghost the following Sunday. And I gained a testimony of the power of decision making, of action, that there is a spirit that comes whenever you decide to make a decision, whenever you decide to commit to something great, something true, something good, something honest, something that's going to bring you closer to Christ. There is a spirit of action and of accomplishment. It works. It's like somehow you become fluent. Satan has no way of breaking that. Whenever you have fully committed yourself to doing something, a lot like serving a mission, whenever you have fully given your heart to a decision, there's hardly any power that can break that unless you are afraid. But when you can put that fear aside, there is so much support from the Holy Ghost and from the love of God that helps you accomplish the work. As small as we are and as imperfect as we might be, these things work when we have our hearts in the right place. And I felt a lot of peace. I felt like I could die happy. I felt so good. I felt so good. And so I give another testimony that there is joy that comes from missionary work. Whatever you're doing, if you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, and if you're doing it with joy and with love, whatever happens, whether it's miracles or disasters, if you're trying your best, and if you're obeying God and you're loving Him, you will feel the most peace that you've ever felt in your life. You will feel enlightened, inspired. You will feel more like Christ. You'll feel like you're a part of Him.